And it's hard because Matt works so hard at these sounds, and then he, like, gives it over to you, and he lets you do the sound, and it's like, I can't do it justice. I can't do it quite like Matt did. I can't live up to that.
Welcome to another episode of The Table of Content, where we talk about all things We Are One Body Audio Theater. I am your host, Albert Saenz. So very happy to be with you once again. And today we speak with one of our volunteers. We are joined by Cori Beredino. Cori, thank you so much for being with us here on the show.
Thanks for inviting me. It's awesome to be here.
We're very glad to have you. How are things in your world?
I can't complain.
Good.
Life is good.
Life is good. Good. Glad to hear it. So, Cori, we are about to release the first episode of our recording of A Christmas Carol. This is our second run at it, but we did it completely different this time. The last one we did in 2019. It was sort of all done in post-production. This one we did what we're calling live in studio. You got to be a part of this one. So we're going to talk about your involvement with this production of A Christmas Carol. But before we do that, you are one of our volunteers here, and I always like to give the audience an opportunity to get to know just a little bit about who I'm talking to in case they don't know that person. So can you give us a little bit of your background and sort of how you ended up getting mixed up with us here at Audio Theater?
Okay. Well, I got the theater bug clear back. Born and raised in Latrobe. Went to Latrobe High School. Back in 81, I was in the Ushers Club, and I saw our production of Fiddler on the Roof. And I just fell in love with it, saw my friends that were in it. And so after that, I just got involved, took an acting class through school, and then stage managed the shows after that for my last 2 years of high school. Figured that's what I wanted to do. So then I went to Seton Hill College at the time, graduated. Now it's a university. Graduated in 87 with a Bachelor of a theater degree. And while I was there, my senior year, I took a TV production class, which was really cool. It was different than just doing theater. And that kind of got me into the love of doing like television and being able to still do live theater, because there's a difference between the two and they're both a lot of fun. But I got to go to the Diocese of Greensburg. The director of communications there had this class, and I got to run the camera. I got to direct. We got to do public service announcements and commercials. And I realized how much I really enjoyed that. So then that led to a job at the diocese for 10 years in the TV studio. And then after that, when they downsized, I didn't realize it at the time, but I switched and I went a whole different way and went to work at Home Depot for 20 years. And then slowly but surely, it finally hit me, I've got this job where I'm working all these different schedules. It got me completely out of doing any sort of theater or TV production at all. And somewhere along the line, back in, I think like 2017, 2018, I called my college roommate, who was also a theater major, and I said, "What are you doing now? What are you working on?" She goes, "We're doing this show called Peter Rabbit for Cabaret Theater, and I need a stage manager." And I said, "Okay, sounds good. Sign me up." So we called it The Bunny Show. It was a kids' production. The first show that I worked with David Ceremit, who we all know here at We Are One Body Audio Theater.
Yes, we know him very well. We all know David very, very well here.
That was my first interaction with him, and he was so into character. I honestly thought he was going to have a heart attack. He was so angry at Peter Rabbit, and his face was always red. I thought, this guy's going to have a heart attack, and then over the years you really get to know David. But so anyway, I did a number of shows with the Cabaret Theater as a stage manager, and that's how I got to know some of my closest friends right now: Peggy Bryan, Rachel and Keith Bodela, Cindy Lou Fiorina. So it was just kind of a natural switch over to here. But I kept running into Tom, different places, and I graduated with his sister Dodie, so I've known
Okay.
Tommy since he was little,
Did
and,
did you call him Tommy?
I think she called him Tommy, I just remember Tommy,
Oh,
I don't
I'm gonna have to remember that. I'll
I
have to ask him about Tommy.
but I that's how I remember, but that was way back in the '80s, so, but then his wife, I worked helped out with, youth ministry at St. John's, and so I've known his wife since she was younger also. So, I just kept running into them, and I kept saying, "Oh, I'd love to work there, I'd love to help out," but 8 to 5, Monday through Friday with my job was next to impossible.
Right.
So then all of a sudden, there was an opening on Saturday. Well, all these people came to audition. I thought, "This is great. I have Saturday off. I'll come." It was awesome. I got to wear the headsets, sit in the control room, and just listen to everybody audition, see some of my friends show up. And, there's just, this welcoming atmosphere here that, I just wanted to keep coming back, and I was so thankful that you realized that there was a need to have people here other than just the normal hours that you would work, that you opened your lives up to be able to come in on some Saturday mornings so that more of us could be involved and get that feeling of, being welcomed and, all that's, available here for us, you know?
Right. Well, we're happy to do it because, we exist for the volunteers. So without the volunteers, it sort of makes it kind of hard to do production. So it's a good trade for us. And we've been happy to sort of pick up this influx of volunteers, and you have been one of them. And you've come in with a lot of sort of exuberance, excitement, and just, you know,
I get
go.
excited when I enjoy certain things and,
Yeah, and it shows. And so what we you came in for the audition, and then you came in for Uncle Wiggly
yes, that
and the
was my first
Skycracker.
one.
That
Yep.
was your first one to sort of be in Foley on the Foley team.
Yeah.
And I think I was working with you on that one, wasn't I?
I believe s yeah, you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Matt wasn't here that day, I
Right,
think, so it
right.
was just you and
It
I.
was you and I. So that was a good introduction. But then the audition where you came in was for A Christmas Carol, but you came in for Uncle Wiggly, and
Mhm.
then we were able to sort of rope you in to being sort of crew
Yeah.
for A Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And you came in to do Foley. You also helped in the control room with our sort of prompt cue
Yeah.
computer. Uh, so we'd like to sort of focus in, because it's one thing, right, when you're one of the voice actors, you have a particular experience, but the behind the scenes people, they need to do their part, the
Right.
Foley team, the people in the control room. So initially, I think I just want to ask, how was your experience coming in
That was
to be
great.
a Christmas Carol?
It was great. I've always like, through the years, I have acted a little, but being behind the scenes is always my greatest love. It's just easier. It's where I'm most comfortable. Um, I it's just such a it was such a welcoming experience to be here, and to learn something new because I'm used to a lot of visual, not so much, audible sounds. Doing the Foley effects and everything was completely different than anything I had done before. And you find that, you can watch yourself do it, but you really have to close your eyes. Like when I did the wind, um, and it's hard because Matt works so hard at these sounds, and then he, like, gives it over to you, and he lets you do the sound, and it's like, I can't do it justice. I can't do it quite like Matt did. I can't live up to that. And I'm trying to do this wind, and I'm, like, closing my eyes and trying to feel, like, get the sound of it, you know? Um, but it's just it was great to do the live, version of it. Like you said, this time around, it's the live, just to see everybody in front of you, and I'm watching all the actors and doing their part. And then it's our time and, you're getting ready, and all of a sudden that whole, um, just being a more aware of what you're doing in terms of trying to be quiet, to not hit the microphone and just a little it's just completely different than anything I've done in the past. but everybody is just so welcoming in terms of when you come in, the whole atmosphere. It's just a great place to come and just be yourself and not be judged. And I've been in some toxic environments over my life in terms of where I've worked in that, and this is just a place to let loose and just be comfortable and be around people that are just awesome with good values. So yeah, the experience was just amazing.
So let's kind of stay on the Foley track for a while.
Yep.
So you mentioned wind, but
Mhm.
there was so many different effects, and there was just a lot of Foley, and we did this over the course of almost 3 months
Mhm.
of doing these recordings, and you were here for a good chunk of them. So we had doors, we had footsteps,
Yeah.
we had pavements, we had
I
dirt, we
have a
had
favorite one.
and that's where I'm going with, right? So we had all these different things,
Yeah.
keys and jingles and pots and pans and glasses and things that made other noises and cloths, all of these different Foley effects. And you just told me, so you sort of gave it away. But
Sorry.
what was your favorite Foley to work with?
My favorite was the bells, the horses clomping down the
Right.
street. So I had the bag with the bells in it, holding it, and then the 2 halves of the, coconut, and then I had to get closer to the mic and then further away as they were walking by. So just that whole shaking and trying to get that sound effect, that was probably my favorite.
It's an interesting one because first off, when if you don't understand Foley, right, you use whatever you can kind of come up with to recreate a sound that normally has nothing to do with the actual object, right? We've used cornstarch to simulate snow,
Yeah.
and you're like, what? So, and you mentioned it, right? So coconuts for the hoofs of a
Yeah.
horse. And really, when you get it just right, it does sound like it. If you close your eyes
Yeah.
and you don't look at the coconut and you say, "Here comes a horse," and you go, you're
Yep.
like, "Wow, that sounds like a horse." So, but part of it is sort of as you were trying to give credit to Matt for, him perfecting his sound, you know, you do have to sort of work at it, right? Because
You
I remember
do.
we were working with you on that one and we were trying to get the jingle just right so it actually sounded like a horse trotting along
Yeah.
with the right type of clopping around. And so I'm curious, so it was your favorite one, but do you could you sort of understand as you were working through the rehearsal and you're like, "Oh yeah, this sounds better. This sounds more like a horse with bells."
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes too, I don't know, I almost wish sometimes I could listen to it so then I could say, "Oh, I see now. I need to do this." Because you're doing it and then they're saying, "Well, try this." And then you try that and you're trying to feel it, but you've really got this limited time to get it right. And you're hoping that you get it, and you close your eyes and you kinda get the feel of it, but sometimes I think if I listen to it, then I would definitely know, "Oh, okay, I see. I see now I need to do it this way." The kazoo was like I mean, it's a different I don't wanna go off the,
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
but, my first one was with the Uncle Wiggily, I had to do the bee,
Right, right.
and that kazoo was tough, and that's one I wish I could've I just don't feel I got that right, you know? Again, Matt was the best with it, and I'm trying to make it sound like him because you want it to be as good as it can be. I'm a perfectionist. So you want that sound when people are listening to it, when it's all said and done, you want it to sound like a bee or the horses, hooves as they're walking. So, sometimes I wish I could hear it back to know, okay, now I see. Because there were different times when I'd do the buzz and it was just a short little buzz or a buzz that zipped around. And you're trying to remember, it's like, okay, this one's going to be this way, this one's going to be this way. And then you go through the script and it's like, okay, which way was I supposed to do this one? So it's a lot of you're like you have to be right on the spot with it and try to get it perfect. But then again, it's not the whole thing about this audio theater is we're not all professionals. So you're kind enough to let us do our thing with it, and if it's not the absolute best, it still sounds good, but you kinda have to know that you don't have to be a perfectionist, that
Hmm.
it's just the fact that you're here and you're trying for this sound. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to let yourself off the hook a little bit because it's all for fun, and it's not always gonna be perfect. We always wish we could do a little better, and, you'll just wish and wish and wish, and it just
Sure.
never
Right. Right.
you
Yeah. So
never get to be, perfection.
right, but I think you mentioned in there, right? Like we're here to try to have fun,
Yeah,
and if we're not doing that, then it's going to be a problem.
yeah.
But we did have a lot of fun doing A Christmas Carol, and I went through doing the edits for the video, and the before and after we actually start rolling, before we say action, uh, you know, everyone's laughing. They're really enjoying their times there. Someone's making a joke, or everyone you would call cut, and it's another sort of moment for people to sort of laugh and smile. So it really was a lot of fun, and I was sort of on both sides of the glass because I was the director for A Christmas Carol, but then I also was the role of Bob Cratchit, so I got to sort of see from both sides and, so I would see the Foley people in the back. I'm reading the script because if I was in the role of
Mhm.
Bob Cratchit, I'm looking and I'm reading the script for my lines, looking for the sound effects, but I know what's going on over there. And I can see, the Foley teams trying to be in position, right? Because I think it would be easy to sort of say, oh, so you've got some people standing around and they're banging on a table or they're banging on a piece of wood. Like, how hard is that? And my next question is gonna be is, if someone were to say to you, "Oh, well, all you gotta do is make some noise. Isn't that easy?" What would you say?
No, no, it's not because I mean, yes, it is. You can pick it up, but you wanna make it sound like the whatever sound it says that you're supposed to make, like the buzzing for the bee or the clopping for the horses. You can't just pick it up and make the sound. You've gotta be in the moment. You're almost you are an actor in a
Right,
way, not
right.
a voice actor, but you are going along and, when Scrooge opens up his window, it's when I'm grabbing those pieces of wood and sliding them, you're feeling like you are Scrooge and his exuberance in grabbing the window and lifting it up to yell out to, to the young boy.
Yeah.
So you are a part of it, and it isn't, it's easy, but it's not easy. There's a little bit more to it than just making the sound.
Sure, and I appreciate you saying, you trying to slide the board for the window, and you kind of feel like you're Scrooge opening the window because you are part of the performance. The
Mhm.
the the Foley is part of the performance. So you're waiting for someone to deliver a line and it's all there on the script, right? You've got your cue, they have their cues.
Yeah.
And you have to actually be working as one of the actors
Mhm.
in a way, because if you miss your cue, they're waiting for a sound cue, right? That says Scrooge says a line, window opens and three times, board slides three times. They're waiting like, "Oh, I missed my cue," then they can't do it, then we have to
Mhm.
do it again, right?
Right.
So, your role as a Foley artist, in The Christmas Carol was as crucial as someone who had to make an actual verbal cue, and I want people to sort of understand that Foley isn't just go in and make some sounds because you could just do that and perfect the craft of just making noise, but it is a performance when it's
It is.
live, when it's a live done. In a movie, they do it afterwards in post production. They have a big screen and they're just standing in one room all by themselves and they do it till they get it right.
Mhm.
In the live environment, you've got to get it right on cue with the actual actors.
Right.
So I I was wondering if you sort of felt that sort of, I don't want to call it tension, but if you felt that level of, okay, this is important, right?
Yes.
Like I've got to
Always.
be I've got to be on target.
Yes. Yeah, any performance, whether it's, theater or video or the audio theater that what you do here, there is there is a feeling of expectancy that you have to do it right on cue and get it going because it breaks the momentum. So it could screw everybody up in terms of the pacing of the whole show.
Right.
So, and even though you can edit a little bit, um, I've just in all the years that I've done, theater and everything in terms of doorbells ringing and phones ringing, we've all seen performances where that phone never rings and you're waiting for it, and then somebody on the stage goes, "Ring," which is so crazy. It's like, um, you have to be there, and that's what I've always loved about the technical aspect of it. Like, as a stage manager, those actors are relying on you. Like, when the show opens, you're running the show. They trust you to be able to be there to start the show when needed and to call the cues when needed. When the doors open, when the music starts, any kind of cues like that. So I just brought that over to here. It's still very important. In the script, it says this is where it is. This is where you need to do that sound, and you need to get it, right on the cue so that the actor can do their next line and everything flows. So, there is an urgency there and a need to really pay attention to the script itself. You send them to us ahead of time. It gives us a chance to get you to, be familiar with them, know what's coming up. But, there's still that excitement there, though, when it's like you're waiting for the page to go up a little bit because you know that you have to do it, but you have to be kind of turned away from the script in a way. So you're hoping that you do it on cue. It's like, okay, now it's my turn, and you do it. Can't explain it, but there's still that little bit of butterflies in a way to make sure you're getting it done in the
Oh, sure.
right spot.
Oh, I believe it. Um, so I mentioned, I was on both sides of the glass. You got to be on both sides of the
Yeah.
glass. So the Foley kind of more performance based, but you got to sit behind the glass, put the headphones on, and you were helping us with our prompting,
Yep.
or what we call auto cue,
Right.
but the script. And I'm curious, you know, again, right? Without something functioning properly, what seems mundane to one person could actually sort of derail the whole performance, right?
Right.
So I'm just curious, while you say, okay, well, I'm just scrolling on a laptop helping people see the script, can you talk about your experience actually sitting
Yes.
there?
Yes. So going back to like stage managing and always being there ready for the actor if they call for a line. I actually went, so for this one, it was a lot of the narrator, which was Peggy. And I went to her and I said, "Do you prefer on those paragraphs to keep it steady or do you want me to scroll?" She preferred to keep it steady. So that's what I did. So I had it up, and I know if the actor's reading from left to right, don't move it if they're still over on the right. Wait till their eyes come back over to the left to pick up their next line. Then you can move it a little bit, because if you try to move it as they're at the end of their line on the right, you start to scroll, they're going to try to find that. So I always try to make it easiest for the actor. So I asked Peggy, and that's what she wanted. So most of what I scrolled through was her dialogue, and David had a lot too, but it was a lot of back and forth. So then you would just keep it scrolling.
Right.
But it was important to me to do what was easiest for them, so that they wouldn't have an issue, So I asked so that I would know what was easiest for her specifically, because it was mostly the large paragraphs for the
Sure.
narrator.
I had no idea at all that you had done that you had sort of, taken that sort of initiative. And I can say I don't think I would have considered that, as an important part to consider. I can see how paying attention to where you're scrolling and making sure you're not cutting off someone too soon or you're not forgetting to feed someone their line, but to actually consider, hey, how will someone read best now it sort of seems painfully obvious, like, oh, right. How do you read?
Yeah.
And to sort of have that
Yeah, I tried to move it as little as
sure.
possible and just move it when needed, but again, that's the one thing, and it helped because my main 2 people were Peggy and David, who have stage managed for many shows, and they each have their like, David, you watch him, he doesn't want the whole line, he just wants his word, and you wait, and when he says word, then you're right there with it, and that's always been a challenge for me. That's where I always thrived is in my as I stage managed. So it was fun, working with them, but those are the things that just made me think because 'cause I'm all about the actors and making their life easier. What's gonna make the best, bring out the best in them. So I guess that was just natural for me to kinda look at the auto prompter the
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah. What was your sort of interior sort of experience of sitting in the control room? You've got you're at the computer, director's next to you, audio engineer's one down. You've maybe got someone else sitting in the chairs listening. You've got the glass wall, and then you've got your Foley people right in front of you.
Mhm.
Then you've got the actors out there. What is that experience like for
Oh, it's
you?
awesome. It's awesome. I'm in my element with that. That's where I'm most comfortable. So, I mean, I was familiar with that when I worked, with the diocese because 'cause we'd have our control room, and then I'd also be out there running the cameras. So I was used to that atmosphere, but, um but it's kind of fun there because usually if somebody's behind me, it's somebody that's here to watch somebody that's in the show. So they're excited, and they're sitting there with their little headset on, and they're watching the action take place. But, I specifically loved being in the control room part of it because I wanna learn more. So I got to see, run the auto prompter and see how you're setting up the shots for, the cameras that are in there on everyone, and how Tom's setting up, making sure that the audio is the right, height or not height, but the volume and everything.
Mhm.
Just getting to see all that is just brings the whole thing full circle for me. So I am not just seeing I'm not just in there with the Foley effects, but I'm also getting to see all the other behind the scenes stuff and learning it, and I've absolutely loved it.
It's great.
So,
It's great. Well, you know, we've been talking about your experience in A Christmas Carol, and I'm just curious, sort of from the entire production standpoint, was there something that you enjoyed the most out of the production?
my favorite actually is being in the control room, but I'm willing to be wherever. So when Tom said, "Oh, can you do that?" I said, "Sure." But I love the Foley, I love working I love the whole thing. It's a team effort, so you just go wherever is needed, and they're all fun. So, but my favorite is just being in there and feeling like I can do something to better it. And it could be just the Foley. When I am on the other side of the glass, just trying to make that one Foley effect sound better. Um, but I don't know. I'm just being behind the scenes is more my thing.
I actually it's minor, but when we did the church bells,
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that
that was
because,
fun.
you brought in some handbells,
Yeah,
and, it just really came across well, and that was you and Matt, right? Didn't you
it
do that?
was.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and I really enjoyed just the way it sounded, and again, you're like, "Well, yeah, a bell is, a bell is a bell," but we really wanted to try to get that sort of pleasant, you know, distant church bell sound, and you put it together, and I just really enjoyed listening to that, um, so that was one of my favorite Corey moments,
Yeah.
you know? Uh, now what about just the production from, the Christmas Carol? Was there a scene that you enjoyed the most sort of being a part of or
Oh, the
just
ones that
watching?
your son was here for, those were fun.
Oh,
He's he's a hoot. Great
yeah.
kid, great
Yeah,
kid.
they're funny. They are funny.
Any of the ones I think too were because he was always a part when there were a lot more people involved. It was fun with all the extra people and all the different, vocals and just seeing everybody in action, because you may get to see them more often with all the other things that they come here to tape,
Right.
but I'm seeing them in just with A Christmas Carol and seeing some of them for the first time, and getting to, interact with them, and they're all awesome. They're all awesome people. I just love, the everybody here has such great values, and it's just great being around them, because the world can be an ugly place sometimes, but when you're here, it's just amazing. It's fun, and everybody's just so awesome.
That's great. That's really great. Well, Cori, we're about to wrap up on the episode, but if if you were gonna go back, right, and you had the opportunity to sort of be uh, sort of a voice for for audio theater for A Christmas Carol, right? Because now you've looked at the production from being a part of it, from the audition all the way till we wrapped. What would you tell people to say you need to go be a part of A Christmas Carol because it's going to be what their experience, what they're gonna
Oh, they're gonna
get
have
out
a
of it?
great experience with it. Just coming in and getting to be a part of something bigger, just a great show to begin with, with A Christmas Carol, but just to come in and even if they say a line or do a Foley effect, just something to have some sort of involvement with it. I think they'll come out feeling really good about the whole experience because of the people that they ran into here and the fact that they got to be that little part of it that when they listen to it, it's like, oh, that was me. That was me doing that. That's really cool.
Yeah, awesome. Very, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Cori Beredino, one of our volunteers, and who was a great part of the Christmas Carol again, which is coming out this weekend, the weekend here after Thanksgiving. So please tune in to the first episode, and then we'll have the next 3 episodes. But Cori, I want to thank you for taking some time out to talk with me, talk and share with the audience. Thank you for everything you did with the Christmas Carol. We're excited about future productions, about getting you more involved here as well, as much as you want to be. So, thanks for everything that you did for us.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite. I always have a blast when I'm here. I
Great,
always have a good time.
ladies and gentlemen. We're always sort of looking for volunteers to act, to write, to be on Foley, to be in the production. So if you're interested and you want to sort of experience what Cori was experiencing, we invite you to contact us, come by the studio. We'd love to get you involved here. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Table of Content. So glad you tuned in. I invite you to continue to tune in, and we will continue to bring you more episodes where we continue to talk about all things We Are One Body Audio Theater. Until then, as always, be good, stay safe. Peace.